Hello, my name is Dr. Sally Seraphin. I am a primate behavioral neuroscientist and a biological anthropologist by training. I work at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm also a member of the Culture, Mind, and Brain Research Network, which is related to the Foundation for Psychocultural Research. The talk I planned to share with members of the American Anthropological Association's meeting on raising our voices is titled "The Furtive Killing of Blacks: How Structural Inequalities Negatively Impact the Body and Mind." The presentation was originally intended as an extension of a recent scholarly opinion piece of writing that I published with thethinkingrepublic.com, which is a web magazine that I founded and for which I serve as chief editor. In August of this year, the Thinking Republic released their premiere issue, which was titled Strange Fruit, a multidisciplinary exploration of Black Lives Matter. What I'm going to ask is that you, my fellow anthropologists, actually read the original piece that I wrote and other works, including those by fellow anthropologists and scholars and artists and creative writers from other disciplines, reflecting on this issue of Black lives. Instead of crafting or reiterating an argument and trying to convince you, my colleagues, that Black lives matter by providing unrefutable evidence of the extent to which Black lives are threatened. What I want to remind you of instead in this presentation, albeit brief, is that we already have all the evidence we need about the ways in which Black lives are endangered from the time that a Black child is conceived, frankly, until the time of what is typically an untimely death, either by natural causes emanating from a lower life expectancy, or as is the case with George Floyd, who inspired a recent resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, violent causes. Recently in the news, it was revealed that George Floyd had 19 encounters with police leading up to the time of his killing at the hands of police. I will suggest to you that, like many Black people in America, George Floyd was marked for an untimely death from the moment of his birth. We know that there are a variety of ways in which Black lives are threatened and endangered in America, not the least of which is because of their higher incidence of morbidity and mortality from a whole host of preventable illnesses, their lower access to health care, their poorer housing conditions, racial discrimination, the likelihood of Black children being in schools that are inadequately funded, the likelihood of Black families living in environments, in conditions that make them more vulnerable to natural disasters, such as hurricanes, and not the least of which their socioeconomic status, which makes it really difficult to thrive and overcome the other challenges mentioned. To adequately raise our voices in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, anthropologists, scientists, artists, artisans have to stand up and demand the protection of Black lives, not merely in the face of police violence, but from the earliest stages of life when furtive killing begins. I want to leave you with this quote by Audre Lorde. Sometimes we are blessed with being able to choose the time and the arena and the manner of our revolution, but more usually we must do battle where we are standing. The American Anthropological Association, all of its members, everyone who reads anthropological science has to stand together in support of Black lives by translating the knowledge that we hold, knowledge that explains the manner in which Black lives are threatened, not merely the violent spectacles that we see on the news, but specifically the slow and precise manner by which furtive killing of Blacks unfolds.